But first tonight, with the war about to enter its 21st week, I'll be chatting with Peter Clement live in an exclusive team talk from his home in Lanfordshire. Don't go away. You won't want to miss a second of tonight's National Nightly News. Oh, is this a thing now? I think they just want to control what's best known as Peter Clement syndrome.
Just listen, Ivan. I don't care what your people are telling you. If something will happen, I promise you I would feel about it.
You've seen these questions.
Because I'm the fucking Prime Minister, Ivan. The size of my feelings is really not relevant. Julia and I have no secrets from each other. None. And you all like man who thinks this
Later in the
horror
programme,
movie
I'm
when
thrilled
you're in
to
a
say I'll be
rom-com.
chatting with mega pop star
Relax,
Lil
mate.
C, who's going
I'll
to
see
be
you at the
treating
Peace
us to a
Summit.
world
We'll get all
premiere
this
of
sorted
her new
out,
single.
and you'll be back
And
at the
then after
Grange
that,
before you know
in
it.
part
10
3,
seconds,
we've
Prime
got
Minister.
something new. I
go.
promise you won't
Gotta
want
go,
to miss.
Ivan.
But first tonight,
Love
let's
to
check
the
in with Prime
mistresses.
Minister Peter Clement, who's coming to us through the magic of television all the way from his home in Lanfordshire. Are you receiving me, Prime Minister?
Loud and clear, Miss Wolf. Loud and clear.
Well, let's start with the obvious. What's that in your hand, Prime Minister?
Cheeky cow. But yeah, it's true. 75 days without an alcoholic drink, and I've got to say, I'm beginning to feel the benefits.
It certainly looks that way.
Well, I made a promise to Mrs. C, and as my old man used to say,
A promise is worth keeping?
was something like that, only with assholes.
So, I've heard from my sources that you and the illustrious Mrs. C plan to take your winter break somewhere a little different this year.
That's right. We're planning a walking holiday right here in the territories, which is different for us because, like you, Megan, I've always been a big fan of those warm foreign beaches.
Did you make this decision because of the blockade, Prime Minister?
Well, no, that's a good question. Well, as you know, while the blockade has effectively restricted the flow of goods into the country, we and our neighbours have continued to allow unimpeded travel for business leaders, ministers and such. So, although me and the missus could theoretically go to that gorgeous beach I just mentioned, it just doesn't smell much like team spirit to me. After all, as my old man used to say, when life gives you shite, make shite pie.
It works just as well with lemons and lemonade.
I suppose it does.
Prime Minister, maintaining a healthy body like yours at a time of national crisis must require some demanding planning. What's your regime and how do you go about it all?
Well, the truth be told, it's all down to Claude, my infinitely patient personal trainer. He's a man with a plan. I'm just the prat with the fat.
Well, on that very subject, how are you and Mrs. C handling living on rations?
Well, let me tell you, Megan, back in the 50s, when I worked for you backstage for your Patrick Brannan's dad, did you know I did that?
I think everyone knows that, Prime Minister.
Well, what you probably didn't know was that Graham Bannon was a right tightwad, paid the bare bloody minimum and still found every possible excuse he could to dock your pay even further. I remember he once docked me a whole £5 for having an unacceptably smelly lunchbox, type bastard. Anyway, what I'm saying is back then I ate a lot less than I am now, even under rationing. We all did. And let's face it, there are still plenty of people in this country who could afford to lose a little bit of weight.
What are you implying? No, but seriously, Prime Minister, we know you're very busy, but one final question, if I may.
Oh, well, go on then.
When you get home from a long day, your head full of the territory's hopes and fears, what music do you listen to when you work out to take your mind off things?
Well, I know I've got a bit of a reputation for being an old fuddy-duddy, but I'd be lying if I didn't say there's something about Lil C that just demands one's attention.
Well, let's hope you stay watching, Prime Minister, because she is going to be talking and performing live after the break.
Oh, I'll be watching. After all, as my old man used to say, everything's a treat on a boring Friday with nothing but the wind up your shunt.
It's Wednesday, Prime Minister.
I think the expression still stands.
Peter Clement, thank you for joining me. I don't know about you at home, but I think there's something
Well, that went well,
kind
I
of
thought.
inspirational
Now your swear
there.
word in sight.
I know, I
Right,
think
you lot
so.
a bit of fuck off then.
When we come back,
me and the missus
Lil
have
C
got a
is
long
going to be
hard
giving
night
us
with a
the debut
2,000-piece
performance of her new single,
jigsaw.
and I'll be getting to
Christ,
meet
back
her.
in me drinking days,
As
the
her
thought of a
biggest
night
fan,
like that
I
would
don't
make
mind
me want to
telling you, I'm
remove my
pretty
own
excited.
bollocks with a
Don't
pair of
go
rusty
away. We'll be
pliers.
back after
But
these
right
messages.
now, I can't think of anything else I'd rather be doing.
1 minute back.
Hold on to the ones you love, son.
Stop.
Was that
That's the
even
trick.
news?
As my old man used to say,
The number is.
when
I
the
must have
flaps
forgotten
start
that in all the
wobbling, it's time to put...
excitement.
So assuming it's not vodka, what do you think's actually in that milk? I reckon it's the tears of his enemies.
You are one disturbed individual.
That's how I cope.